Hey everyone, it's Dylan and Charlie from the Black Forest Wood Company, and I'm very excited to announce our new and improved lineup of our ceramic coating. So a lot of you are already very familiar with this ceramic coating. You may have even seen other YouTubers like Blacktail Studio use this in some of his projects. What we're going to kind of do is refinish this table. So I'm going to sand it first of all, and then I'm going to apply a couple coats of our Black Forest furniture oil. I'm not going to go into as much detail with this product as we've talked about this before, but we'll quickly go over the application of 2 coats. And then I'm actually going to break this table down into 3 sections, and I'm going to show you coats done with the gold, the platinum, the diamond, and then I'm going to coat all of them in top coat, and we're just going to do a little durability testing to show you guys the difference in those products. So the table that we're going to be finishing here today, this has been kind of our cash register desk in our slab store for about the past 2 years. So it is not in the greatest of condition, but it's held up surprisingly well considering the wear and tear that it's had. I'll start with 180 grit sanding, go with 240, and then 320. So normally we like to start at 120 grit, but I'm hoping that 180 will get all these scratches out. So we'll begin by doing that sanding, and we'll come back to you guys when we're ready to put the oil on. So now that we've got the top completely cleared of any dust here and cleaned off, we're going to go ahead and apply our Black Forest furniture oil to the surface. We do have some other videos that go in more detail on the process of actually applying this, so I'm probably going to glaze over a lot of the important notes here. The biggest thing that I will mention though is making sure that you're applying a very small amount to the surface and not overdoing it, just so you don't get a tacky finish. Instead of it being like you're trying to wipe it on, it's almost like you're trying to wipe the oil off. That's like the thought you want to have, is that you want to leave this surface completely dry, but still that came in contact with oil at some point. So that's kind of what I try to do. I'm imagining that I'm sort of trying to wipe all the oil off the surface once it gets on. And then I spend another good 20 minutes, maybe 15 minutes afterwards with the clean side of the pad and just evening out any of the imperfections in the finish. So now that this is done, we can let it sit overnight. We'll come back tomorrow. I guess in like 30 seconds for you guys, and we'll do the next coat on this. All right, everyone, so it is the next morning now, or 30 seconds later for you guys, and the finish is cured, and I'm about to do an optional step, but it will help increase the sheen of the finish if that's something you want. So I'm just using a 4000 grit sandpaper on the Mirka sander, and I'm going to go over everything, and all that's going to do is elevate the sheen and also remove any imperfections that might have got trapped in the finish. Or if you accidentally had a customer come in and slide a charcuterie board across your table, even though it had a sign in front of it that said, please do not touch table, finish may be wet. If that happened to you, then you might want to do this. I don't even know if they're going to show up on camera, but there are some little scratches that were just caused by something being slid across the finish while it's still wet. So if that happens, it's not the end of the world. You can take your sandpaper and likely remove that. Now, we have obviously done videos like this before and talked about our ceramic, but again, the biggest difference here with our new formula over the old one is that it's water-based. We're going to start today by applying the gold on here. So kind of my plan for this table is I'm going to do 2 base coats on each panel, and then I'm going to follow that up with a single top coat. So if you want to take one of your applicator block, we sell these on our website. They're just a foam block with a denser foam on top and a softer foam on the bottom. Then we've got a blue microfiber applicator cloth. You do have to use these specific cloths, and you can't just use a regular microfiber. You can see that there is a difference just in the grain of these 2 cloths. Let's go ahead and start with the gold. And the application process compared to these water-based coatings and our old formula is really no different. So if you've used any of those formulas before, there won't really be much to learn with these new products. It should be everything you're used to. And I'm going to work in kind of a grid motion. I'm going to probably do half of this at a time, just because if you do too much at once, the ceramic can start to cure before you're finished. And then I will come along and fill in any of those areas inside my perimeter. And I like to go over it about 3 or 4 times before I actually buff off with the other microfiber. So already, instantly, you can start to feel the slickness of the table that's created by the ceramic coating. There's much less resistance on this cloth than there was before the ceramic was applied. Another thing to mention is there's no need to worry about lap marks. I don't know if this will show up on camera, but I can see the line right down the middle. It's right about here where I've applied the ceramic, and I'm going to be able to go right over that with the product, and it will all blend in together. So you don't have to stress and worry about hitting it all at once, because all of those individual squares that you do are going to blend together. So now I would just move on to the next grid. I'm going to apply another coat of our gold formula here, following the exact same process. All right, so now we're gonna move on to our platinum formula. This would be the same grade as our old graphene formula that we offered, except now obviously it is a water-based formula. So now we have 3 base coats. We have a gold, a platinum, and a diamond. Gold is obviously same as our original base coat formula. The platinum is the same as our graphene formula, and the diamond is a new and improved version that actually incorporates epoxy nanoparticles. So essentially we've got these graphene molecules that are suspended within a resin, and this is the most durable coating we offer. It is more expensive obviously, but it is a very, very durable, strong coating. And our top coat now is also a graphene-based coating. So all of these products have been updated, they're water-based, they're more durable, and I'm just really excited to actually be able to offer these to you guys. If you have used our old ceramic coatings, you will know that they did have a bit of a smell. It wasn't the worst smell in the world, but it was there, whereas these products don't really have much of a smell at all. And the application method is no different for any of these products, whether you go for the gold, the platinum, the diamond, the top coat. It's all the exact same process. So now we're gonna go ahead and apply our diamond coating. You're not gonna be able to really see much of a difference in these coatings. They're all gonna beautify the wood in the same way, where they increase the sheen and then also give you more clarity in your epoxy if you have it. The biggest difference comes in the longevity of these coatings. So with our basic coating, the gold, that's going to be about a 1-year coating that we would recommend reapplication after 1 year. Our platinum coating is rated for 2-year protection. And then our diamond is a 5-year coating. So highly durable, highly long lasting. This you really don't need to reapply that often at all. And that's where the difference is in these products, not so much the look. Okay, so it has now been 2 hours since we applied our first base coats of ceramic, and I just want to show you, it is dry to the touch. Like, I'm not leaving any streaks across this by touching it, but it's technically not fully cured at this point. So after 2 hours, you could use the table with very light use, but you would not want to have any direct contact with liquids. For full regular use, you should give it 24 hours. It's just after 2 hours that you can go ahead and do this recoat. So that's what I'm going to do right now. I've got our gold formula here in my hand, and I'm just going to repeat the exact same process as I did for coat number 1. You'll also hear me saying how the coatings are water-based, but also you'll hear me saying how they're graphene-based. So both are true. The carrier for the actual protectant is water, whereas in the old coating it was solvent. The protectant in the new coating is graphene, whereas in the old coating it was SiO2. We should get some good comments in this video for all of his feature in here. All right, and now we're gonna go ahead and do our platinum panel here. One thing that I should mention as well that we get often as a question is, can you use any type of ceramic coating for your projects? Not necessarily. So we have actually designed this product to specifically work with wooden projects. Our solvent formula was already specifically formulated for these type of projects, whereas your standard formula, let's say of ceramics that you would find elsewhere, would be formulated for car paint. And then furthermore, now with the introduction of a water-based coating, this is the optimal ceramic coating for wooden projects, because you're not going to ruin any of your previous finish layers that you've put on before your ceramic. So please be careful if you're buying a ceramic to put on your projects, especially, let's say, the lower grade of ceramics that are less expensive. The reason our solvent-based ceramic worked is because there was mostly what was in there was the protectant. There wasn't a whole ton of solvents, and we had a very high percentage of protectant, whereas in these cheaper products, it's a very low percentage of protectant and just mostly solvent. And then in this case, if I did this on this table, it would just completely strip away all of this finish. So do your research and make sure you're using the right product. Okay, so we're back again, and this time I think it's actually been about 3 or 4 days since we did our final coat of the base coats on these 3 panels here. And even though I said, you know, it's best to wait at least an hour before reapplying your coat, there's not really a window that it has to be applied within. So in this case, since we've waited 3 or 4 days, all I did was wipe off the dust that was on the surface, and there was some. You can see that what came off on the microfiber there. You wouldn't want to reapply with all that dust sitting on the surface, but now that it's clean, I can go ahead and repeat that same process with our top coat. So now we can go ahead and apply our top coat. The process is the exact same for what we've done with the base coats. Again, nothing really changes here. you're just going to want to saturate your applicator pad with the product. The reason I'm breaking this in half is because I usually like to work in nothing any bigger than 2 feet by 2 feet. So it's about 2 feet this way, and it might be a little narrower, but that just makes it easier to ensure that the product isn't going to cure before you're done applying it to that section. So like I mentioned earlier, there's not going to be a huge aesthetic difference between these 3 panels here. The biggest difference is in how long these pieces are going to last. So we've peeled the tape off now, and you can at least see the aesthetic difference between the uncoated surface with ceramic that only has oil and then the coated surfaces that do have ceramic. So if you go back in the video and you look at how this looked immediately after the coat of oil, it obviously still looked very, very good. But the ceramic just brings out another level in it, and specifically on epoxy tables, it kind of increases the clarity and you can see more of the edge beneath the wood. So what we're gonna do now is leave this piece for at least 24 hours. We'll come back tomorrow, we'll put some water on it, we'll show you the hydrophobic effect that's created by this. Maybe we'll even slide a couple charcuterie boards across the surface just to kind of emulate how it's gonna get used. But yeah, that's essentially the whole finishing process on a table, specifically the ceramic. And like I mentioned earlier, you can go back to this video here if you want to see us talk more about the oil. Okay, so the piece is all finished off and cured now. So what I want to show you now too is just kind of like that hydrophobic effect that you end up getting with our ceramic finish. So you can see that all of this material kind of beads up on the surface there, and it also, because of that, ends up being very easy to wipe off and clean. Whereas you can see on a table that doesn't have a ceramic coating, it doesn't really want to bead up in those small droplets in the same way. You can see that all this is just kind of sitting there flat and now starting to soak into the surface of the wood. And then when you go to try and wipe this off, essentially you've rubbed all of that water right into your wood grain. It didn't really wipe off like it did on the ceramic table where it just came off and rolled off the edge of the table. Now I've got water that's all soaked into the wood grain. I can feel that the grain is wet, whereas on the table with the ceramic, it's still nice and slick. Again, really easy to clean off, and that finish still looks absolutely brand new. So you cannot do this if you did not apply our ceramic on there. Even though our oil finish is very, very durable, it would still be susceptible to some abuse like that. You know, it can take light spills as long as you wipe them up relatively quickly. But if you spill something on there and actually start rubbing it into the surface of the grain, it's not going to work. So there we have it. We've got our gold, our platinum, and our diamond all standing up perfect to water. So there we have it, everyone. One final thing that I want to mention, with lots of things that we've done, as we kind of innovate and come out with these new things, there's some other people that kind of start to try and do it for themselves or copy us. So we are the original woodworking ceramic. There was 0 ceramic coatings available in the woodworking industry when we came out with this. And of course, now we're starting to see some other people coming out with their woodworking ceramic coatings. My fear is they're just relabeling automotive ceramic coatings that haven't at all been formulated for this specific application. The reason I believe that is because some of these coatings are very, very inexpensive compared to our products. So, you know, for the uneducated person, they may just think that we're a ripoff and they're a really good deal. But these products essentially are like 90 to 99% solvents with a very small percentage of the actual protective material. The other difference is their protective material that almost every other ceramic coating is using is SiO2 or silicone dioxide, which is quartz. So it's a very durable material, but there has been advancements since then, and graphene has been proven to be a much stronger coating than SiO2. So all of these new coatings are graphene based. We don't have any SiO2 anymore in here. So it's a more premium product that we're providing. Additionally, these are all water-based. There's no solvents that are used in our products at all. So number one, it's much more eco-friendly and much more user-friendly too. So these products are not bad for the environment, they're not bad for your health, and you don't have to worry when you're using a water-based product like this. It also ends up being more compatible with the oil finishes that people are typically putting on their tables before applying the ceramic. because like I said, a solvent-based coating can actually end up stripping away the protective oil that you've applied to this table first, whereas a water-based coating, the oil's just going to repel that water, the water's going to evaporate right off, and you're only going to be left with the graphene protective coating on your table. So I've tried to give as much information as possible today to you guys, but I'm sure that I've missed something that people are going to have questions about. So please leave your questions in the comments below. I will personally do my best to try and get back to all of you guys with your technical questions for this. But thank you again for watching. Please check out our ceramic coatings. We're going to have a link down in the description below. And for those of you that have made it all the way until the end of the video, we're going to give a 10% off coupon code. So it's going to be ceramic10. You guys can enter that at checkout and you will automatically get 10% off your purchase of our new ceramic coating. Thank you guys. Okay, and we've also had some complaints that Charlie wasn't in the videos enough recently. So here he is, and we're actually going to be using him to do some durability testing here, as you can see. So it doesn't quite make your table dog-proof, I could say. So if you're planning on having your dog climb on the table, you know, their paws can still scratch the epoxy. But obviously, that's not what the ceramic coating is meant to protect against. This is just because Charlie wanted to get up here and see what we were doing. So we let him.